Hi everyone. In last sessions, what we discussed? We discussed the state file, we discussed the log file. After that, we discussed the types of the variable in the Terraform. So already we know that what is the state file, what is the log file. What is the log file? Log file is used to the log the provider versions in your Terraform configuration. So what is the provider? Provider is nothing but it can be AWS, it can be Azure, it can be GCP. So number of platforms supportable our Terraform. After that, so we are representing, we are locking the provider versions in our log file. After that, we discuss about of the state file. So whatever we created the resources, those resources I want, I track that resources. Then what we have to do? We have to go with state file. So what is the state file? Suppose whenever we apply the Terraform script, then we will create one state file from the Terraform side. Then once created the state file, this state file we can say called as a, it is a infrastructures whatever we have the created, those infrastructures we have in our state file. Then it keeps track our resources. So suppose we created one EC2 machines, those EC2 machines whatever we have the parameter, then we can see in the state file and we can easily track our EC2 resources. After that, we discuss about of the variables in the Terraform. We have the two types of the variable. One is a input variable, another is a output variable. But what is the variable? Variable is nothing but we can say called as a, suppose I want to store the some data, then we need to go with variables. So when we talking about of the any particular of the language, in that language, so I want to store the some data, then we have to go with variables. So again same thing we have in our Terraform script. So we need to use the variable concept in our Terraform script. So we have the input variable, we have the output variable. So when to use for the input variable, so when to we have to go with input variable, when to we have to go with output variable. So whenever we talking about of the input variable is nothing but whatever we are giving the input to create the resources, at that time we can say call it the input variable. Whatever we are getting the some information for particular of the resources whatever we created in our AWS account, those information I want to get it, then we have to go with output variable. So suppose when we talking about of the one EC2 machines here, suppose we have the input, these are the variables. Suppose I want to create one EC2 machine, so this is my default, this is my, we can say call as a variable, and we can say call as a, this is my data type. So what type of data here? T3 micro. T3 micro is nothing but we can say call as a, it is my machines for my is EC2 instances. So we are using right now T3 micro. So what is the T3 micro? So already we discussed in our EC2 instances. After that, we are giving the input here, and suppose I want to get some information for that EC2 machine, then we have to go with output variable. This is the value. So we have to go with value, and then we will get the information that particular of the whatever we required, then we will get the information from the output variable side. So that called as a, we can say called as a variable in the Terraform. So today our today we will start our new topic. Today's agenda we can say called as a what is the taint and what is the untaint in our Terraform. So this is our new topic. Suppose what is the taint and what is the untaint here? Suppose we creating one Terraform script here. Suppose my requirement is a different here. Suppose this is my AWS account. In this AWS account I require the three machines. Suppose sorry, I require the three services. So when we talking about of the services here, so this is my three services I want to create it. One is a EC2 machine, another we can say call as a one RDS, then we can say call as a S3 bucket. These are the three resources I want to create it in my AWS account. But while using of the Terraform script, we can create easily. We know that. But we have to provide the input parameter. We have to provide the main.tf file. We have to provide the provider tf also in our Terraform script. But whenever we created the three services at a one time, so because we are applying the Terraform script at one time, then we will create the three of the resources in my AWS account at a one time. But my requirement is here. Suppose in future this machine is not working properly as expected, but I want these machines. Okay, so what we need to do here? So I want to replace this machine because this machine is not working due to some reason. My machine is damaged here. Okay, so due to some reason my some parameters are not working in my machine, so it is not working as expected. So that's why I want to replace it, but I don't want to remove this machine, these resources, these services. So what we have to do here? So we have to go with Taint and Untaint because I want to replace EC2 machines with old machine with new machines. Then what we have to do here? We have to go with Taint concept. So what is the Taint and Untaint in the Terraform? So I want to replace particular of the resources with same configuration. Then we have to go Taint. Suppose my RDS is not working, so already RDS, just let's consider here. So some I want to replace this RDS. Okay, this service I want to replace. Then what we have to do here? We have to go with Taint and Untaint. Suppose same thing for the this one. Okay, based on our requirement, so we have to go with our Terraform concept. Okay, so here my requirement is I want to replace these machines. Already we know that. Suppose this is my another same configuration EC2 machine. This machine I want to replace. I want to replace. Sorry, I want to replace this machine with this machine. Okay. Then what we have to do here? We have to go with Taint concept. Okay, with same configuration. Okay. Whenever we are talking about of the uh, Taint concept here, so again we have the Untaint here. Suppose whatever we have the changes here, those changes I don't want to changes in my AWS account. Then what we have to do here? We have to go with Untaint. Untaint is nothing but that is we can say called as a undo that actions whatever we perform previously. Suppose we perform here the taint. So whenever we marked as a taint that resources, those once we changes the uh, once we replace this machine with this machine, but I don't want to change it, so I want to undo that actions. Then we have to go with untaint in our Terraform. Okay, so we can say called as a do not destroy and recreate the resources anymore. That is called as a untaint. So in short, okay, whenever we're talking about of the taint is nothing but we are not destroying any kind of the here resources because we are just replacing. So someone is asked me like what is the difference between the taint and what is the difference between the destroy. So what is the difference between the taint and destroy? Then what we have to say here, taint is nothing but whatever we want to replace as resources, then we have to go with 10, and I want to destroy that resources, then we have to go with destroy command. This is the difference we can say called as a taint and destroy. And someone is asked me like what is the taint and untaint in the Terraform? So what is the difference between the both of? So taint is nothing but so we have to replace it, and we can say called as whatever we have the resources, those resources I want to replace it with new one. Then we have to go with taint. But what is the untaint? Untaint is nothing but that actions I want to undo. Then we have to go with untaint in our Terraform. Okay. After that, so suppose already we discuss here. So we can see called as a here. You can see. Let me change my directory. So where we are EC2. Okay. So after that, let me check. Okay. Let's see. Okay, you can see here the some warning message in my PowerShell. Okay, you can see here the already we know that suppose we apply the command here. Okay, so leave it. Okay, suppose once we apply the command, are we going to any changes here? You can see here. I think I deleted some resources from the AWS account. It will be created. No, so let's see. You can see here the already I deleted. Let me check. Yes, I deleted my resource EC2 machines from my AWS account. So that's why it is creating my one EC2 machines here. But whenever we're talking about of the here the one state file, one log file, and backup file, already we know that already we perform the some commands here. So what are the commands we discuss? Init command, valid command, plan command, apply command, and destroy command. What is the init? Init is nothing but, so I want to provide the some provide us the versions. Then we have to go with initialization. Suppose I want to some uh, starting of the configuration for my AWS. Suppose whenever we're talking about of the AWS, whenever we're talking about of the Azure, that provider versions I want to provide it, that time we have to go with Terraform init command. Then after that validate command. Is there any syntactical error in my Terraform script? Then we have to go with validate command. Then format command. Suppose is there any indentations issues in my Terraform script? Then we have to go with Terraform format. Then Terraform plan. Plan is nothing but what we are going to create it in my AWS account. Then we can say call it a plan. Okay. Then apply command is nothing but it is a Terraform script executions. Okay. Then you can see here the after that destroy command. So I want to delete the resources. Then we have to go with Terraform destroy. Okay. But you can see here the one state file backup is created. So what is the meaning of this one? Suppose whenever we are deleting something, whenever we are applying again and again, okay, then backup file will be generated. This is my new version, this is my old file. Because backup is nothing but by using of the backup we can uh, we can track our resources. So that's why we can see called as a, this is my backup file. But whenever suppose once we created here the one EC2 machines in my AWS account, you can see here the this is my AWS. It will be take some time because we are initializing one EC2 machines. Already we provided some Terraform script. In that Terraform script, you can see here the let me where is my running state? Okay, you can see here the in this running state. So we created one EC2 machines here. So already we created the parameter, that is my UAT, that is called as we can say called as a tag name. Okay, after that already we know that where is the reference name. Okay, so whenever we are providing here the you can see here the in main.tf, this is my alias name. So this is my reference for my instance type. So AWS instance, this is my AWS instance. I want to create the resources, this is my reference name. Okay, after that you can see here the suppose again I'm applying the same command, then what will be happen? Is there any file will be is there any resources will be created? You can see here the are we going to any create the resources here? You can see no, we are not creating any resources. And you can see here the in the Terraform script no change because already we are created here, so no change in your infrastructure because we are using the same parameters here. So are we going to anything in that? So are we going to any update in that? No, we are not going to any changes in our Terraform script. So that's why we can say call as a this is the added 0, this is change 0, this is 0 destroy because we are using the same script. So that's why we are not creating any resources at the moment, but I want to create the new resources. Okay, suppose I want to create the new EC2 machine, then what we have to do here, we have to write it the again main.pf file. But suppose due to some reason my EC2 machine is not working as expected here, then what we have to do here, we have to go with taint command. So what is the taint? Taint is nothing but we are replacing the old resources with new resources. Then suppose here whenever we apply the same command, then we are not changing anything once we created resources in our AWS account. But whenever we are marking of the taint, then what will be happen here, you can see 1 minute. Okay, 1 minute. Yes. So after that, what we have to do here, I want to replace old EC2 instance with new EC2 instance. Then what we have to do here, Terraform, then Taint. Okay, what is the Taint? Taint is nothing but we can suppose we are replacing our new old resources with new resources. Then what we have to do here, so this is my resource name. Okay, you can write it here the instance. Okay, after that what we have to do here, after that we have to write it here the my reference name. Okay, so once we apply here as a 10, you can see here the we can see here the resource as a marked as a 10. You can see here the resource instance AWS dot test VM has been marked as a tainted. So what is the meaning? So we tainted mark. After that what we have to do here, so we are ready to replacing old machine with new machine. Then what we have to do here, we have to apply the same thing here. Okay, then we have to go with apply command. Then again you can see here the I'm applying here the auto approve. What is the purpose of the auto approve here? So auto approve is nothing but, so whenever we Terraform apply, then we can see again one thing, Terraform script will be asked for me. So do you want to create it? Then we have to, yes, I want to create it that resources. So I don't want to again same second confirmation, so that's why I'm going with auto approve here. You can see here the Terraform, once we apply, then it will be create new EC2 machines in our AWS account. You can see here the one Terraform.state log file info is generated here. Okay, again you can see here the we are destroying the old EC2 VM. This is my ID for my EC2 machines for the old machine. Then you can see here that it is still destroying. It will be take some time, so it will be lapse within the 10 seconds. You can see here the in AWS account we are replacing old machine with new machines. You can see here the all state. In all state we can see here the this is my old machine we are shutting down. After that it will be create new machine with same configuration. It will be take some time. You can see here the this is my terminated, this is my old machine, and we are going to create here the new machine here. So it will be take some time. You can see here the instance state is a pending. Still you can see here the it is a running. So still it is a status is a initializing. You can see here the, so you can see here the whenever we apply the same thing, whenever we go with apply command, you can see here the one resource is added. But whenever we go with apply, whenever we created exist already we created the one resources, and whenever we go with again apply command, then it is not allowing to me create the duplicate resources in our AWS account. But when we talk about of the taint, once we mark, then what we can see, we can replace, we are ready to replace old machine with new machines. So based on the your requirement we can go with taint command. And whenever we're talking about of the untaint is nothing but whatever we performed action here, those actions I want to undo, then we have to go with untaint. Okay, you can see here the, so you can see here the we created the new EC2 machines. Suppose again I'm applying the same command. Suppose I'm going with apply Terraform apply, then what we can see, again we can see no change in our AWS account because already we created the one resources. So duplicate resources won't be allowed to create in my AWS account. So that's why we can say called as a apply command. But once we go with taint command, then what we can see the replacing old machine with new machine. So that is called as a taint and untaint. Okay, you can see here the how many times you can, based on your requirement, you can perform taint here. So it will be take some time because I'm not sure why it is still initializing, but it will be. Again, you apply the same. So whatever we Terraform taint, then my resource name, then reference name, resource reference name. Then you can see here the same again we marked. Once we mark that resources I want to taint it, then we have to again apply the Terraform command. Then we have to replace. So we can say call it a once it is destroyed our old resources, and it will be create the new resources. Okay, I'm not sure why it is still initialized. You can see here the this is the, so you can see here the this is my running state. Okay, so again we have this alternate command here in our Terraform script. Someone is asking me what is the difference between the replace and taint. So we have to say there is no difference between the taint and replace command. So I want to replace old resources with new resources. Then what we have to do here, we have to go with same thing here. So apply, then after that we can say call it a dash replace. Okay, after that we have to use the assign operator here. Then we have to mention here the instance. Then we can say call it a test VM. Something is missed. 1 minute. So I want to, yep, replace, right. Oh, here I have mentioned here the indentations between the replace and this one. Okay, so we don't have any indentations. So AWS again. Okay, then we have to mention here the test VM, that is my reference. Okay, so we don't have any indentations between the replace and our resources name here. So you can see here the one log file is reflected here. Once we apply the replace command, then you can see here the it will be ask me, uh, so it will be destroying the old machine. You can see here the it is destroying the old machine here. You can see here the plan is apply one, and it is destroying the old machine here. So you can see here the replace requested. Once we replace requested, then it started to the destroying the old machine with new machine. Okay, so you can see here the yes, do you want to perform these actions? Yes, I want to perform these actions. So yes, you can see here the yes. So if you, so it started to destroying the old EC2 instances with new instances. So it will be create the new instances with same configuration. Are we going to any change in the configuration? No, we are not going to any change in the configuration. So configuration is nothing but we can call it the, this is my T3 micro. So I want to use the, suppose my requirement is different here. I don't want to use the T3 micro. I want to use the T3 dot medium. Then what we have to, we can say call it the, we cannot replace it because we are replacing the old configuration machine with same new configuration, same configuration. Okay, so you can see here the we are replace it here. Once we replace, then you can see here the, so it will be deleted old one, and it will be start to initializing the new machine with same configuration. Okay, so that is called as a replace command. So that is called as a, we can say called as a taint, untaint, and replace. Okay, so next topic we have Terraform models. Okay, So what is the model? Suppose whenever we're talking about of the Flipkart application, you can see here the Flipkart application. In Flipkart applications, we have the different models. So this is my this is my minute. So in mobile, tablet, then fashions, then TV appliances, then flight booking, each and everything here you can see. These are the models we can say called. Okay. Once I clicked on here the mobiles here, you can see in the electronic, this is my one model. In that one model electronic, we have the some sub models, but in mobile sections we have the one model. In one mobile model we have the again sub models. Here we have the different companies, you can see called as a, this is my sub models. So whenever we're talking about of the models in our Terraform, same thing here. Suppose I want to create a one infrastructure for Flipkart application, then are we going to same thing here? Suppose I want to create one EC2 machine. Again, I required the one RDS. I required the one S3 bucket. Then are we going to create same different folder here? No, we are not going to create the different folder here. So first we have to create a one root folder. Then again we have to create the some child folder. So child model, child folder we can say. Okay, suppose I want to create a one infrastructure for Flipkart application. Just we are taking example for the Flipkart application, you can take example anything. Okay, so this is my Flipkart infrastructure. So we are going to just here the at basic level, we are not going to in the deep level. Okay, so this is my Flipkart infra application, you can take any of the application. Okay, after that, suppose I required one EC2 machine, then what we have to do here, we have to create one EC2 machine here. Again we have to create the one S3 bucket here. Okay, again what we have to do here, we have to create the one RDS here. Okay, again suppose I think created here the different level. Okay, again I will create here the one file here, input.tf. Okay, I'm not sure why it is created like this, so I will delete this one. Okay, so in this, okay, I will move this one. Okay, again I will delete this one. No, something is miss out. Let me create one again, once folder, one EC2. Sorry, I will create first input.tf. Okay, think I created the folder here. I want to create the, okay, so I want to create one folder here. Okay, so in this EC2 machine I require the one input parameter, so we know that. Again I will create the one S3. Okay, I'm not sure why it is moving this. Let me create once again. Again I will create, no, this is my root folder. In this root folder I want to create the one S3. Okay, again I want to create a one RDS service here at this. Okay, so you can see here the, we have the one root folder. So what is called as a root folder? Root folder is nothing but it is a main model. In this main model we have the one EC2 machine, one EC2 instance resources. Okay, after that we have the again RDS resources, again we have the S3 resources. Okay, so what we required for the EC2 machine here, so I want to create one EC2 resources. Then what parameter we required, one is the input.tf. Then again I required one main.tf. So what is the main.tf? Main.tf nothing but it is, we can look at the, this is my execution file again. So I have to add here the output. Okay, so these are the three files we require for every resources. One is the input, one is the main, and another is the output. So what is the input? Input is nothing but, suppose I want to create one EC2 services in my AWS account, then what we have to do? We have to go with input parameters. What is the input parameter? So we need to provide the some input parameters for the EC2 machine. Then we have to go with input.tf. Then again we have the main.tf is nothing but it's the execution Terraform script. Again we have to the output tf file here. We have to add the output.tf file because we require the some information that resources. So that's why we are going with output.tf file. Okay. You can see here the three files are required. But whenever we're talking about of the provider.tf, so where we need to add this provider.tf file, we need to add at a global level because so provider.tf, this is the common parameter. This common parameter we required for every resources. So that's why we added here the Terraform provider.tf. But whenever we're talking about of the access key, secret key, where we have to store, we have to store in our keyword. We will discuss later on in upcoming sections. So leave it right now. Okay. After that, again, what we required the, you can see here the three files. So again, for my RDS resources, we require the same three files. Again, for the S3, we require the three resources files. Okay. So whenever we're talking about of the input, main, output, so you can see the we have to give the some input variable for creating the EC2 instance. So same thing for RDS, same thing for the ES3. Okay. But whenever, but why we need to go with models concept in our Terraform? So using of the Terraform models, we can achieve the reusability. Suppose I have to create the one EC2 resources in my AWS account. So I have to write the again provider file. Again I have to write the some common parameters in our EC2 machines. Again we have to write it for the common parameter for the RDS resources. Again we have to write it common parameter for the S3 resources. So I don't want to use same parameters again and again. Then we have to go with models concept. Again I want to maintain easily to everyone can easily understand my infrastructure for my application. So that's why we have to go with models concept. Okay. So whenever we're talking about of the input, main, and output here, so we require the three files, we require the three files, we require the three files. Again, what we required, so we required some, so you can see here the in input files, what we have to add here. In input files, we require the same parameters here. So you can see here the these three variables I required for my input panel. Okay. After that, same thing for my EC2 machine, same thing for my main.tf, same thing for my output. What is the output here? So I required the three information for my EC2 resources. So I added here the output.tf file here. Okay. So whenever we're talking about of the three parameters here, then what is the purpose of the provider? Provider is nothing but, so it is the common parameter. So in this provider we have the region, then access key and secret key, where we are going to create the our services in our AP Southeast 1. This is my region. Okay. So you can see the provider. Okay. After that we have the main.tf. So for the RDS, same thing, we have to write it the input parameter. Again we have to write it the main.tf, same thing for the RDS, and we require for the RDS. But in output, whenever we're talking about of the RDS, So it is a relational database services. In this relational database services, I require the endpoint for my databases. Then what we have to do, we have to go with output variable. So we will get the endpoint by using of the output variable. So this is the uh, models concept. So we created one, uh, we can say called as this is my root model, this is my child model, this is my child model, this is my child model. Again in child model we have the three files, again we have the three files, again we have the three files. But whenever we're talking about of the provider, where we added the provider.tf file, we have added the provider.tf file at a global level, because these provider.tf file, it is applicable for the three of the services. Okay, so when we talk about of the here, again suppose we created one dot main dot tf file here. Okay, so I required the same thing. Okay, main dot tf I required for the main dot tf, but whenever we're talking about of the main dot tf, so I want to execute these three resources at a one time. So are we going to main.tf file apply at a one time? No, that is not possible. So we have to create again one Terraform file here. We have to create it one Terraform file here, that is called as a, sorry, we have to create a Terraform. Not sure, my mouse is not working properly. Okay, so again we have to create one file that is called as a main.tf. So what is the purpose of the main.tf? So I want to execute three resources at a one time. So is it possible to execute the three files at a time? No, that is not possible. So I will call these child models resources in our main.tf. Okay, at a global level I will call it, I will wrap it in one file, and I will execute my Terraform script here. So how to add it here, the main.tf here? So we have to go with models here. In model we have to go with my model name here, EC2. Again we have to go with source. Okay, then we have to call the main.tf file. Okay, so main.tf file we are not calling, so we need to call this folder in this main.tf. Okay, so in this main one ec2 folder, at my child folder, what we have the three parameters, we have the input parameter, we have the main.tf file and output file. So these three files at a time I need to the in my main.tf file. So then what we have to do here, so we have to write it here, the forward slash dot forward slash then models. Okay, again we have to mention here the our folder name, that is called the ec2. Okay, so this is our main.tf file, so we can call one service in our main.tf. So this is tricky here, we need to the call three of the folders here at a global level. So that's why I created here the main.tf file here. So we are calling this resources in my main.tf file. Again we have to same thing. Suppose for again what we have the parameters here, again we have the one parameters here, that is called as the output parameter. So we have to create here, we have to create one output.tf file. So what is the purpose of the output.tf file? So I require the output variables in my output.tf file. Where we created output.tf file, we created the output.tf file at a global level. So how we can call it? Same thing here, we created the same thing, so we need to the same thing we have to call here, but we need to the some change the parameter here. So here what we have to do here, we have to go with output. Again suppose this is my, I want to call my public IP for my test VM resources. Then I created here the test VM. So you can add anything name here. Suppose we added A, that is fine. Okay. But if you want to add here the proper naming convention here, then you can go with like this. Okay. Then after that, what we have to do here? So already we know that how we can call the output variable. So we have to go with value. Again, what we have to do here? So again, we have to mention here the model. Then so what was the my EC2 VM name? So this is my reference name. Then again, you can see here the output variable. This is my public IP. So you can call same thing. Okay. Suppose if you want to add, then you can call same thing here. But so we need to add same thing like public IP. Then you can add here the public IP. So it can be anything because this is my machine name. So where we are calling, this is my machine name. So it can be anything. Okay. Where we need to add, we need to add these parameters here. I think we had added here. This is my public IP. So same thing we have to call here. Sorry, here added the different name. This is my public IP. Then we will get the output here. So what we did here, we created the one root folder. In this root folder, we created the three child folder. Then again we created the three main files. One is a provider, that is called as a we can say called as a, we have the some common information. Again we created the one main.tf file because I want to call the child model folder, we can say call as a child model folder, we are calling in our root folder. So that's why we need to the add here the main.tf file. Again you can see here the output.tf file. Same thing, I want to call the I'm calling the output.tf file at child level to the global level. So that's why we are created here the output.tf file here. So that is called as a, we can say called as a models. Why we need to the go with models concept? I want to achieve the reusability. I want to use the maintainability for my application infrastructure, and I want to create the proper infrastructure. So that's why we have to go with model concept here. Suppose we created everything in that folder. So then is there is a meaning here? No, there is a no meaning because every time we are creating that state file, every time we are creating the log file, so each and everything we will create it separate thing. So that is not good practices for the Terraform script. So that's why we have to follow here the model concept in our Terraform. So based on our application requirement, we can easily add the services here, and easily we can maintain our services by using of the models here. So I think that's it for today. Tomorrow uh, we will start our new topic in upcoming session. But first we will see here the how to create how to create the different services by using of the model concept. So we will create one RDS services, we will create one S3 services, and we will create one EC2 instances in upcoming sessions by using of the model concept. Then we will start our next topic. So I think that's it for today. Thank you guys.